Hi, good day. Welcome back to Bible Story Times with Ami. Today we'll be continuing the Rebekah story, chapter 4, titled Will You Go? Genesis 24:54 to 61. Reimagined in Rebekah's voice. The household was restless that night. Even after the lamps were dimmed and the courtyard hushed, sleep will not come easily. I laid awake on my mat, staring into the darkness, listening to the low sounds of the camel shifting in the yard and the occasional murmur of voices from the men keeping watch. The gold bracelets still encircled my wrist, heavy reminders of the weights that now pressed upon me. At dawn, the household stirred again. The servant of Abraham rose early, his companions readying the camels, their hands moving with practiced efficiency. There was an urgency in their every action, as if they wished to depart before the day had fully begun. My mother and brother, however, were not ready. They came to the servant with measured words. Let the girl remain with us a few days, at least 10, they said. Then she may go. I stood nearby listening, my heart pounding against my ribs. 10 days? 10 more dawns beneath the roof I had always known. 10 evenings drawing water from the same well, walking this familiar path, hearing my mother's voice in the courtyard. 10 days to hold on to the life I had lived until now. But the servant shook his head, his voice urgent yet respectful. Do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. The words settled like a stone in the room. I saw the conflict in my mother's face, the calculation in my brother's eyes, and then, as if the weight of choice could not be theirs alone, they turned to me. Let us call the girl and ask her. I felt every gaze settle on me as they brought me forward. My hands trembled at my sides, but I lifted my chin. My father's eyes were grave, my mother's tender, my brother's sharp with expectation. The servant's gaze, though, was different. It was not fixed on me, but lifted heavenward, as though my answer belonged to God as much as to him. Will you go with this man? The question rang through the chamber, simple yet world shifting. I heard the crackle of the fire, the scuffle of sandals on the floor, the distant bray of a camel outside. Time seemed to slow. My mind raced. Will I leave my mother's embrace, my father's household, the land of my birth? Would I travel with strangers to a land I have never seen, to marry a man I have never met? And yet, deep within me, another voice stirred. I remembered the well, the rope biting into my palms as I drew again and again, the servant's silent astonishment as my words matched his prayer exactly, the way my own heart had leapt, not with fear, but with certainty, as though God Himself had whispered, This is the path. I drew in a breath, steady and sure, and spoke the words that rose unbidden yet resolute. I will go. The room stilled. My mother's hands covered her mouth, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Laban's shoulders shifted, whether in pride or relief, I could not tell. The servant bowed low, his face shining with reverence, as though heaven itself had spoken through my lips. There was no turning back. Preparations began swiftly. My mother and the nurse gathered what garments and provisions they could, while the women of the household embraced me with murmured blessings. My family laid their hands upon me and spoke words I will carry in my heart. Our sister, May you become thousands of tens thousands, and may your offsprings possess the gates of those who hate them. The words clung to me like a mantle, both a blessing and a destiny. At last I mounted the camel, its broad back swaying beneath me. My nurse rode beside me, her presence a small comfort. I turned once, gazing back at the home I had always known. My mother stood in the courtyard, her veil drawn close, my father leaning on his staff, Laban with arms folded tightly across his chest. The sun rose higher, gliding the rooftops, casting long shadows across the land of Nahor. With each steps of the camel, the distance widened between me and all that was familiar. My throat tightened, but within me a strange peace began to bloom. For I knew, though I could not yet see the shape of it, that the Lord who had guided Abraham's servants to me would also guide my steps into the unknown. And as the caravan turned towards the horizon, my heart whispered again the words I had spoken aloud. I will go. Lessons of faith. Faith often calls us to leave what is familiar for what is unseen. Obedience is rarely comfortable, but when God's hand guides the way, even the unknown becomes a part of promise. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, and subscribe. As usual, I would also love to hear your lessons of faith in the comment section. Do have a blessed day and thank you. I'll see you in the last chapter of the Rebekah story. Thank you.